والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق أجمعين محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. We are still in the subject of prayers, fiqh, and we have reached the issue 902, mustahab places for offering prayers. In Islam, great emphasis is laid on offering prayers in a mosque. Masjid al-Haram is superior to all the mosques, and after it the order of priority is as follows: Masjid al-Nabi, Masjid al-Kufa, Masjid Baytul Maqdis in Jerusalem. Then comes the number of Jami' Masjid, central mosque of every city, followed by the mosque situated in one's locality, and then that of the bazaar, of the market. I mean, it is mustahab to pray in mosque. There is a great emphasis. Actually, in hadith, لا صلاة لجار المسجد إلا في المسجد. The one who is neighbor to the mosque, his prayer is not accepted unless it is prayed in the mosque. Because he is neighbor to the mosque, he should come to the mosque. Of course, not accepted does not mean from fiqh point of view if not accepted, but the great thawab that he should get from the prayer, he will not get it. He will lose great tawfiq. Otherwise, not that his prayer is void and null. No, it is not void if you pray at home, but the benefit of the prayer and the great reward of Allah for his prayer will not be there because he did not go to the mosque and he is neighbor to the mosque. There is no difficulty. So always is better to pray in the mosque. But the mosque number one where there is great thawab is Masjid al-Haram in holy city of Mecca. Well, in some hadith they said each rak'at there is equal to 1 million rak'at. Thawab of each rak'at is to 1 million. The second holy mosque is Masjid al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Medina. And the third important mosque is Masjid al-Kufa. The mosque of Kufa is one of the great four mosques. Probably not many people know about this fact. But that is there, that mosque is one of the great mosques, not an ordinary mosque in a city. Because in that mosque there are many signs of prophets. The place where Adam alayhi salam had asked Allah for repentance, Maqam Tawbah to Adam, is in that mosque. The place where water at time of Prophet Noah used to come from earth and then the flood happened is from that mosque, and so many other important places in that mosque. So that is not an ordinary mosque of any city, it is a very important mosque. And the fourth mosque is Baytul Maqdis, which is in Jerusalem. Also that thawab is there. So these four mosques have the priority in order. After that, it comes in one town, in one city, the main mosque, the big mosque, they call Masjid al-Jami'. Masjid al-Jami' is a word where the people gather in Jum'ah prayer. And according to Ahl al-Bayt, Jum'ah prayer cannot be prayed in every mosque. The distance between one Jum'ah and one Jum'ah should be farsakh, should not be nearby. About 5.5 kilometers distance should be there, so people from around that may come to one mosque. So that is the main mosque for a town. Let us say from side to side is about radius of 11 kilometers radius, which usually the cities are not more than that. Small cities. So they have usually one central mosque. So to pray in that central mosque there is more thawab. If not, then it is mosque in your locality. And then mosque in the market. Usually in the business areas there are mosques, so the people at time of dhuhr they can come directly to the mosque, offer their prayer, and go back to their business, will not be late. They don't need to move or walk for a long distance. So that is called mosque of the market. Usually in the Muslim cities, near the market, there is a mosque. So people in 2 minutes, they can reach the mosque, offer their prayer, and go back to their business. So he put it in order for thawab. Issue 903, for women, it is better to pray at such places where they are best protected from na-mahram, regardless of whether that place is her home, a mosque, or anywhere else. For women, the best is to be away of vision of the men. So wherever she is away, that is the best place for her. If at home, then if she pray at home, nobody will see her, nobody will look to her, that is the best place. If she come to a mosque, the mosque should be such that the place of women should be separate than the place of men. So if she prays, also no men will see her. So wherever she is not seen by men, that is the best place for her. Issue 904, prayer in the shrines of the holy Imams is mustahab, and is even better than offering prayers in a mosque. It has been reported that the reward for offering prayers in the sacred shrine of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam Ali alayhi salam, is equal to 200,000 prayers. Now, if somebody is living in holy cities like Najaf, like Karbala, like Kazimain, like Samarra or Mashhad, and he wants to pray, if he pray in the holy shrine of the Imams, his thawab is great, and especially if he is in Najaf and he pray in holy shrine of Imam Ali alayhi salam, the thawab of each rak'at is equal to 200,000 rak'at. There is a great stress about that in ahadith. Issue 905, frequenting a mosque and going to a mosque which is visited by very few people is mustahab. Somebody frequenting means he comes oftenly to the mosque rather than he avoid going to the mosque. By itself, to pray one time is mustahab, and to come repeatedly to the mosque is also mustahab. Well, some of the mosques, because they are small or they are not very built properly, the people do not go there, and that mosque have very few people going. Usually people go to, let us say, a big mosque, there is a carpet, there is fancy things, so they see it is a huge, big, nice mosque. So they said those mosques should not be neglected, and to go to such mosque where not many people are going by itself is an extra mustahab. And it is makruh for a neighbor of the mosque to pray anywhere other than a mosque, unless he has a justifiable excuse. So it is makruh for one who is neighbor to the mosque to pray at home, and he is supposed to pray in the mosque unless he has certain reason and justifiable reason for that. Issue 906, it is mustahab that one should not sit to eat with a person who does not attend prayers in a mosque, should not seek his advice, should not be his neighbors, and should not enter into matrimonial bond with his family. Now, some people unfortunately do not understand the importance of going to the mosque, so they are careless and they do not go. Maybe once in a year, or maybe in his life he may go once. He is not caring to go to the mosque. So as you see here, then it is makruh to build a relation with that person, or to sit with him in food, invite him, or even to have matrimonial relation with him. Let us say your son married to his daughter, or his son married to your daughter. That is makruh to accept it, because he should feel that what he is doing is wrong. Mosque is a place of meeting of all the Muslims, and it is a place of prayer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shows obedience to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and at the same time the social problems of the Muslims are solved in the mosque. They discuss their problems, religious problems, social problems. They know each other. If somebody is in need, they know about him. If somebody is sick, they know that he is not coming today. Why? They ask why he is absent today. Well, they know that he is sick. They go and visit him at home. So the social life will be very active when the people all come to the mosque and they know about each other. Now, if they don't come to the mosque, if somebody is sick maybe for 1 week, nobody knows about him. If somebody is in need, nobody knows about him. Somebody has a tragedy, nobody knows about him. So the mosque is the actually central place for Muslims to meet. And in Islam, it had a great role at the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The mosque actually was the place of the government, because the religious education was there. It is a Ministry of Religious Affairs. The Ministry of Army was there, because the training to build their body and power was done in the mosque. You get the youth, and they train to fight and be very brave in fighting. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs were there. If a delegate comes to negotiate with the Prophet, they come and negotiate there. The Ministry of Internal Affairs were there. If any problem for Muslims, it will be there. So actually all the government used to run from the mosque. If there is any problem, they call for the prayer to the mosque. The people come, when there is azan from the minaret, the people know that there is something important and urgent, so all will come to the mosque, and then a message will be delivered to them that there is a problem, there is enemy coming, there is such happened, and so on. So mosque had a great role in Islam, and what is mentioned here is actually some part of that. Otherwise, if you go to ahadith, there are a lot of ahadith about importance of praying in the mosque. We come to another subject, places where offering prayers is makruh. It is not haram, but it is makruh. If one can avoid one, better to avoid these places. Issue 907, there are a number of places where it is makruh to offer prayers. Some of them are the following. In public bath. Well, public bath in the old days and in some of the countries nowadays is still there. In the old days, the baths were not available at home. Toilet is there, but no bathroom, because it needs to have a proper heat and proper services, which was not available. The people used to go to public bath in each locality. There was a public bath. In Turkey, in Iran, in Iraq, in Syria, Lebanon, in many countries, that was the trend. So the people, when they go in the public bath and take bath, when they come out, they are tired, they take rest. Sometimes they offer their prayer there. So it is okay, but it is makruh to offer prayer in public bath. Saline land in which is saltish land. So to stand on that saltish land, this is certain lands which has mine of salt, and then if somebody stand there and pray, it is makruh. Facing a human person, if somebody is standing and you face him at time of the prayer, is makruh, So one has to be aside, so no human being should face him. On a road or a street, provided that offering of prayers at these places does not cause inconvenience to others. If it is source of inconvenience and discomfort to them, it is haram to obstruct their way. Some people, because their house is busy or a small house they come out in the alley, it is a small roads, and they offer a prayer there. Well, the people can cross, but that is a public place for people to go and come. So it is makruh to pray there. But if you create inconvenience to people, then it becomes haram, because public place is for people, not for person himself to use it for even for prayer. Facing an open door. See, if we are in your bedroom or any room, and if the qibla is facing the door, then it's better to close the door. Facing an open door is makruh. I don't know why, but maybe because some people will pass and then your concentration will be diverted, or for any other reason Allah knows better. So anyhow, if you pray toward Qibla and that is toward an open door, is better to close the door because it is makruh. In the kitchen and at every place where there is a furnace, or a place there is a fire and furnace, then it is makruh to pray at any place when there is fire. Facing fire or a lamp. So even if there is a candle, a fire in front of you, it is makruh to pray facing the fire. Facing the picture or models of living creatures unless it is covered. If there is a picture toward Qibla, is not haram and your prayer is all right, but it is makruh, as he is saying. So either you remove the picture from your face or you should be covered. Some people will turn the picture upside down, so they should not see the picture at time of the prayer. Facing a well or a pit where people often urinate. Well, this in certain places, maybe one go to villages and there are special places, so to face that is not right, it is makruh. In the room where a mujnib is present. A state of janaba will give certain changes to the person, and that is why for purification from janaba one has to take a ceremonial bath, proper ghusl. And some people who are having very high spirituality and very shiny soul, they can feel that this person is not tahar, he is in janabat, so his presence in that room has its effect. And we have that certain ahkam regarding that, which is, if Imam is present, he should not go near Imam, he should not go to haram of Imam if he is at a state of janabat. So the state of janabat itself, though it is not physical, it is a moral najasat ma'nawiyya, as you said, moral impurity, but still it has its effect. So if somebody is at a state of janabat, in that room, it's better to go to another room and pray there. Well, maybe his presence prevents the angels to come, or prayers will not be accepted. I don't know, Allah knows, but this is what is mentioned, it is makruh. At a place where there is a picture, even if it may not be placed in front of the person who offers prayers, So even if the picture in my back, one should avoid that because it is makruh. Facing a grave and on the grave or between two graves and in the graveyard. So if there is a grave in front of me, I am outside the graveyard, to face the grave is makruh. To be above the grave is makruh. Between two graves is makruh. In the graveyard is makruh. So the prayer is makruh, but as I said, it is makruh, not haram. If you can avoid it, that is much better, because that is makruh. Issue 908, if a person is offering prayers at a place where people are passing or where somebody is present in front of him, it is mustahab that he should set a demarcation before him, even by keeping a wooden stick or a string. Sometimes we have to pray when people have to pass. It may be public place, we have no option, or in the mosque, at the middle of the mosque, and then people are passing. So between the person and his place of sujood, where he put the turba for sujood, that is his place. So after that, he may put a sign of demarcation. So if the people pass, should not pass between him and between a place of sujood. They pass above that. So either if he has a stick, he put his stick, or a string, or anything. So he put just some demarcation so the people will avoid to pass nearby to him. That is if possible, actually. We come to another subject, and that is rules regarding a mosque. There are many rules about the mosque, which is important to know them, and it is mentioned here in these issues. Issue 909, it is haram to make the floor, roof, ceiling, and inner walls of a masjid najis. And as and when a person comes to know that any of these parts has become najis, he should immediately make it tahir. And the recommended precaution is that the outer part of the wall of a mosque too should not be made najis, and if it becomes najis, it is not obligatory to remove the najasat, but if someone makes it najis to violate its sanctity, that act is haram and the najasat should be removed. See here, many points he mentioned. One is inside the mosque. And what is meant inside the mosque, the floor of the mosque, the wall of the mosque, and the ceiling of the mosque. That is inside the mosque. So to make it najis is not allowed, and if it becomes najis, like a child, for example, urinated there, or somebody get injury in his hand, in his feet, and then a blood was there, and he realized that certain area become najis, he should rush and clean it immediately. So it is wajib to clean it. Now the question, what about the wall outside the mosque? The mosque is inside the wall, outside is not the mosque. Say it is haram to make it najis. But if it becomes najis, is it wajib to make it tahir? No, it is not wajib, because that is not a mosque. But sometimes certain najasat is regarded as an insult to the mosque. So it is against its sanctity. People bring feces and put it on the wall of the mosque. So naturally that gives bad feature to the mosque, you know. I mean, if somebody drop of a blood, a child put it, it may not affect sanctity of the mosque because it's from outside the wall. But somebody put, you see, dirt and najasat to the wall of the mosque, that is against the respect of the mosque. So there, then it becomes wajib to clean it. Otherwise, if something against sanctity, to make it najis is haram. We should not make it najis. But if somebody did it najis, it is not wajib to clean it. Fine, if you clean it, is better. But it's not wajib, because what is wajib is the mosque itself. The wall is not regarded as the mosque. The mosque is between the walls. The wall is outside the mosque. That's usually is like that, yes. Issue 910, if a person cannot make a mosque tahir or needs help which is not available, then it is not obligatory for him to make it tahir. But if he feels that the mosque will be made tahir, if he informs others, then he should do so. See, it happens sometimes if we are in a mosque and we see that the place of the carpet become najis, for example. We don't have water there. We have no means to make it tahir. We cannot make it tahir. So it is wajib, if we can do it tahir, wajib to make it tahir. But if we cannot, then it will not be wajib on me. It will be wajib on anybody who can do it. And if there is nobody to help and I cannot make it tahir, I should not stay there permanently till I make it tahir. He said, no, it is then, if you cannot, then you are not responsible. But if I can go and ask if there is a servant to the mosque, or if there is a trustee or owner is available in that area, well, some of the mosque has somebody look after them. Some of the mosques are open, nobody is there. So if I can ask somebody, okay, then I should go and ask him and tell him, okay, this area is najis, and he must have his own way to bring water and to make it tahir. Issue 911, if a place in a mosque becomes najis and it cannot be made tahir without digging or demolishing it, the place should be dug or demolished, provided that it is minimal, or if its demolition is absolutely necessary for saving its sanctity. Otherwise, demolition is a matter of ishkal. However, it is not obligatory to refill the dug area or to rebuild the demolished part, but if a small item like a brick of a mosque became najis, it should be put back to its place after making it tahir. Well, sometimes the floor of the mosque become najis, and let us say if urine is there of a child, it will go deep, and you don't have that much water to make it tahir. So you have to dig or take whatever things. If it is one brick of a clay, you have to take it out. Then such minor damage is okay. But then if you have to make a major damage, you said no, don't do major damage. Minor damage, okay. You take little part of, let's say, sand or clay, whatever it is there, dust, take it out, and then even not necessary to fill it, even if it remains. No? Later on, people can do it. Major damage to the mosque naturally is not allowed. That is, it's put ishkal. That is questionable, that one. Issue 912, if a mosque is usurped and houses, etc., are built in its place, or if it becomes so dilapidated that it can no more be called a mosque, even then, as a recommended precaution, it should not be made najis. But if it becomes najis, it is not obligatory to make it tahir. See, sometimes people usurp a mosque. They are neighbor to the mosque, and he said, no, this is not a mosque, this is my father, and then he usurped the mosque and make it his own house. Or sometimes the government comes and he said, this mosque is big and it has no income, so we'll make one showroom from the mosque or two showrooms from the mosque and give it for rent to people so that there will be income to the mosque. Of course, that is not allowed, but the government sometimes do it by force. You know, this shop which is built here is a mosque. And now, what is the situation? Is it also the same rules? Of course. To make it najis is not allowed, you know, but if it becomes najis, then you are not forced to, it's not obligatory upon you to go and make it tahir, because now the shape of the mosque is not there. It is shape of a house. Sometimes the mosque will come in the street. They demolish the mosque and become street. The street naturally may be najis. So here it said, if it become najis, will not be obligatory upon you to make it tahir, because its shape has been changed completely. You know. But as he said, as recommended precaution, one himself should not make it najis. But if it become najis by others, is not wajib to make it tahir. Issue 913, it is haram to make the precincts of the holy shrines najis. The haram of the holy shrine to be najis. Holy shrine of the Imams alayhi salam, though it is not a mosque, but you say it has its sanctity, and to make it najis is haram also. But if any one of these precincts become najis, and if its remaining is that state affects its sanctity, then it is obligatory to make it tahir. And the recommended precaution is that it should be made tahir even if no desecration is involved. You know, we should not make any insult to the haram of the Imam salamullah alayhim. We should not make it najis, and if it become najis, if it affects its sanctity, then we have to make it tahir and to make it clean, you know. So what you want to say that sanctity of the haram is more or less similar to the mosque, you know. If the mat of a masjid becomes najis, it should be made tahir, even if the mat remaining najis affects the sanctity of the mosque, but washing may spoil or ruin the mat, then that part which has become najis should be cut off. You know, if the mat is najis, you may wash it, but sometimes the carpet or the mat, maybe a wooden one, if you wash it, it gets spoiled. You cannot spoil a property of a mosque. So what to do? He said, if little part you can cut, throw it, then should be cut. At least najasat should not be there. That is in case it is against sanctity of the mosque. I mean, it depends, if there is little najasat which is not seen, so it will not affect sanctity of the mosque. But if there is too much najis which is seen, then it affects sanctity of the mosque. I mean, if there is a stool there, should remain, will give bad odor naturally. That is against sanctity of a mosque. But you see, if a drop of urine is there which was not sown, or drop of blood, nobody see it, may not affect the sanctity of the mosque. And because you cannot wash it, so you may leave it, So you put, if you cannot wash, then if it against sanctity of the mosque, cut it. If not, then leave it. Issue 915, you see these are many examples given here. It is haram to carry the najisul ayn, or a thing which has become najis, into the mosque. If doing so desecrates the mosque. In fact, the recommended precaution is that even if desecration of the mosque is not involved, najisul ayn should not be carried into it. Now, najisul ayn, let us say if my finger has blood and I am outside the mosque, if I enter the mosque, this original impurity like blood is there. I am entering. So is it allowed or not? I am not touching anywhere of the carpet or of the wall, so I will not make the mosque najis. But I am carrying in my finger, let us say in my hand, there is blood. So is that allowed or not? Or if a child is najis in his pampers, for example, and we take him inside, so we are taking najasat inside, He said if it desecrates the sanctity of the mosque, not allowed. And he said as a precaution, he put it here as a precaution, and he said as a recommended precaution, even if it has no effect on sanctity of the mosque, should not be taken inside. So if a child, we have to change the diaper and throw the impurity outside in the garbage, and then get the child inside. Or if there is blood, I go and wash my hand before entering the mosque. When there is no blood, I enter the mosque. Issue 916, if a mosque is draped with black cloth or covered with marks in preparation of majlis to be read there, and tea is prepared, there will be no objection to all of that if they do not have any harmful effect on the mosque, and if it does not obstruct those who come to pray. You see, the people, if they have any function in the mosque, whether there is a majlis for Imam Hussain or Ahlul Bayt Salamullah alayhim, or birthday of any one of the Imams, so they may put a black cloth, and naturally they use the mosque and they put nails in the wall of the mosque. So he said if all those acts do not affect the function of the mosque, which is for prayer, then it is okay. I mean, you cannot block the mosque that the people cannot pray there, But that will not affect, and because there is a genuine reason for that, that is also for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to remember Ahlul Bayt Salamullahi alayhim, so it will not be haram, and it is okay. I mean, this shows that any usage of the mosque without permission is not allowed, or unless it is for something religious, So a mosque is not a place for like a restaurant to make food or tea, etc. But if that food and tea is for a majlis there, and people want to get benefit of religious education, then it is okay. So that type of usage is allowed. Issue 917, the obligatory precaution is that a mosque should not be adorned with gold, and the recommended precaution is that it should not be adorned with the pictures of men and animals. So that is another issue. Certain people, they may have certain bricks or ceramic with gold. He said, no, is obligatory precaution. There should be no gold, that, and no pictures also inside the mosque. Issue 918, even when a mosque is ruined, it is not permissible to sell it or to make it a part of a property or a road. Sometimes due to war or due to a flood or due to rain, and the building of the mosque is old and it gets ruined, demolished by itself, but then that does not mean now it is useless because it's open area and we can sell it to make it property of a person. He said, no, that is not allowed. We should rebuild it if we like, but we cannot sell it. Again, issue 919, it is haram to sell doors, windows, and other things of a mosque, and if the mosque becomes dilapidated, those things should be used for the renovation of the same mosque. If they are not useful for that mosque, they should be used in any other mosque. And if they are not of any use for other mosques also, then they may be sold and the proceeds should be used for that very mosque, if possible. If that is not possible, then it should be spent on the repairs of any other mosque. You see, the mosque is a trust, and whatever in the mosque is belong to that trust. So now if we demolish the mosque for rebuilding because it is old and we have to make it new, naturally there are windows, even there are bricks there. If we can use those windows, those bricks, those doors again, then we have to use them again. If not, because we are making bigger doors, bigger windows, more modern windows, and so on, then we may give it to another mosque which might be in need of that. And if at all it is useless, then in that case we are allowed to sell them, and the first priority to use the money for the same mosque. If the same mosque is not in need of money, then we may give it to another mosque. So the mosque should go to a mosque, either to the same mosque or if not to another mosque. Sometimes it happens the carpet, the moquette of the mosque, after 5 years, 10 years, it become old and become, ashamed that it is so old and cut here and there, so you have to remove it. Now, if that carpet is useful for another mosque after removing part of it, so we have to use it to another mosque. If it is so old that is not useful to any other mosque, then we are allowed to sell it, and then the net proceed will be given to the same mosque if needed. If not, then again, because it is money of the mosque, we should give it to another mosque. Should not spend that money on any other charity, though all charities are good, but because this is a belonging of a mosque, should be spent on the mosque. Issue 920, building a mosque and renovating a dilapidated mosque is mustahab. And if a mosque is so ruined that it is not possible to repair it, then it can be demolished and rebuilt. In fact, a mosque which may not be in a bad state can be demolished for extension or to facilitate the needs of the people. See, in demolishing the mosque, there is a great restrictions, Said if you can do repair, then do the repair. That is allowed, not to demolish it. But if the mosque becomes small and you have a big land outside the mosque and the number of people coming is too much and that is not meeting the need, maybe is not built properly for heat or air condition or other. So then if the people want for the benefit of the mosque to demolish, then it is allowed in that case to demolish and then make it a bigger mosque for benefit of the people. Otherwise, haphazardly without a proper need should not be done, not allowed. Issue 921, to keep a mosque clean and tidy and to illuminate it is mustahab. And for a person visiting a mosque, it is mustahab to apply perfume and wear neat and good dress, and to ensure that the soles of his shoes do not contain any najasat. And when entering the mosque, to put his right foot in first, and on exit to put his left foot out first. Similarly, it is mustahab that one should come to the mosque earlier than others and leave it after they have departed. These are certain mustahab things. They say, خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ masjid. Get your zina, your beauty at the mosque. Not to come with a dirty dress and dirty body to the mosque and with bad odor of the sweat and that. That is not the right thing. Of course, it's not haram, but the mustahab is to have a clean and neat dress and to have perfumes. And when we enter the mosque, first we put the right step. And when we are coming out of the mosque, we first put the left step. Well, some say that if somebody dies on that, say if his right step is a front, then he will die to the front. He will fall to the front. If he's left, then he will fall to the back. I don't know if that is correct scientifically or not, but Allah knows, why maybe the right foot has some certain philosophy. We don't know about it, but it is mustahab to do that. And even mustahab to be the first one to enter the mosque and to be the last one who leaves the mosque, because the mosque is dear to us and we are supposed to enter the mosque earlier than others. Issue 922, it is mustahab that when a person enters the mosque, he should offer 2 rak'ats of prayer as gesture of greeting and respect to the mosque. But it will suffice if he offers any obligatory or mustahab prayers. Sometimes people enter the mosque not for a prayer, maybe in the afternoon or in the morning, 10 o'clock morning, he enters a mosque for any reason. Maybe he has an appointment with his friend to meet in the mosque. So he enters the mosque. It is not time of prayer. So he says, as respect to the mosque, it is mustahab to pray 2 rakat. They call Tahiyyatul Masjid, like welcoming the mosque. So we pray 2 rakat as respect to the mosque. But if it is time of the prayer and I am praying my obligatory prayer, to say Dhuhr or Asr or Maghrib or Isha or morning prayer, then 2 rakat Tahiyyatul Masjid is not necessary, because my prayer already will be there. My obligatory prayer will be there. Issue 923, it is makruh to sleep in a mosque, except when helpless and to talk about worldly affairs. When helpless. The second one, and to talk about worldly affairs. Third is to engage oneself in some craft. 4, and to recite poetry, which is not religiously instructive. It is also makruh to spit or throw phlegm or mucus from the nose in a mosque, or to shout or raise one's voice except for adhan. So these are the etiquette when we enter the mosque, which is clear mentioned. Issue 924, it is makruh to allow an insane person to enter a mosque, and also a child if it causes inconvenience to the people praying, or if it is feared that it might make the mosque najis. In absence of these 2 reasons, there is no harm in allowing the children. Similarly, for people who have eaten onions, garlic, etc., and their bad breath may upset others, it is makruh to go to the mosque. You see the beautiful etiquette of entering the mosque in Islam, that even the breath is counted. Then if somebody have eaten garlic or onion and he has a bad breath, should not enter the mosque and maybe will hurt others who are there. Well, a child is allowed to enter the mosque, but in condition he should not spoil the comfort of the people who are offering prayer, or if he is at a state he may make it najis, So one has to always to be careful when enter the mosque. والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.